We've all felt it, that sudden shiver running down your spine, the prickling of your skin, the unmistakable sensation of goosebumps. But have you ever wondered why these moments happen? Often we brush them off as a response to the cold or a rush of emotions. But what if I told you that sometimes these goosebumps are more than just a physical reaction? What if they were connected to something far deeper, something unseen? What if they were paranormal? I've spent years exploring the spiritual realm, questioning the boundaries of what we perceive as reality, and time after time, I've found that there's more to goosebumps than meets the eye. Today, I want to share with you 5 signs that your goosebumps are actually paranormal, a message from the spiritual world trying to get your attention. Imagine a moment when you're completely alone, and yet, for no reason, you feel this chill creeping up your body. Your skin tightens, and your breath catches. What's happening here? It's as if the atmosphere has changed, but everything around you looks exactly the same. This is where the mystery begins. When you experience goosebumps, especially in places or during moments that are tied to strong energies, whether spiritual or emotional, you're not just feeling your body's reaction to the environment. You're connecting with something deeper, something unseen. These sensations are often signals from the spiritual realm, urging you to pay attention.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Let's talk about the first sign, presence. Many spiritual traditions believe that goosebumps can be a sign of an unseen presence. I'm not just talking about the presence of spirits in the traditional sense, but energies that exist in spaces, energies we're not always conscious of. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt a shiver run through your body? It could be a sign that you're walking into a space filled with residual energy. These energies could be from people who once occupied the space, or even spiritual entities still lingering. The goosebumps you feel are your body's way of telling you to become aware, to heighten your senses, because something is there with you. Now I want you to think about those moments when you feel goosebumps in response to something emotional, whether it's a song, a memory, or a deep connection with someone. Have you ever asked yourself why? It's because emotions themselves carry vibrations, and these vibrations can trigger a spiritual reaction in your body. When the vibration of an emotion aligns with the energy of a place or a person, you feel it physically through goosebumps. This is no mere coincidence. It's a merging of energies, your soul responding to the higher frequencies around you. This is the second sign, emotional resonance. But how do you differentiate between ordinary goosebumps and paranormal ones? Here's a clue: timing. Paranormal goosebumps often appear at critical moments when you're deep in thought, when you're facing a decision, or when something significant is about to happen. They arrive as if to say, pay attention. Have you ever been in a situation where you were about to make a major choice, and suddenly, your body was covered in goosebumps? This is the third sign, intuitive warning. Your higher self, or perhaps a spirit guide, is trying to communicate with you, offering guidance through the physical sensation of goosebumps. It's like a nudge from the universe, a signal to trust your intuition. Let me ask you something deep. Have you ever felt like you were being watched, but when you turned around, no one was there, yet the goosebumps wouldn't go away? What was happening in that moment? Was it your mind playing tricks on you? Or were you tuning into something beyond the physical realm? These sensations often come in spaces where the veil between worlds is thin, places where spirits are more likely to dwell. This is the fourth sign, goosebumps as a sign of spiritual presence. They are a direct indication that you're standing on the edge of two worlds, the physical and the spiritual. Now, the last sign is perhaps the most profound, confirmation. Goosebumps can serve as confirmation that you are aligned with something much greater than yourself. Whether you're meditating, praying, or simply in deep contemplation, when you suddenly feel that shiver of goosebumps, it's as if the universe is saying, yes, this is true. Yes, you are on the right path. Have you ever had that experience where you were thinking about something deeply spiritual, and out of nowhere, your whole body tingled with goosebumps? That's your spirit connecting with higher truths. This is the universe's way of acknowledging your alignment with the divine. And now I want you to reflect. Can you recall a time when you ignored your goosebumps? What happened afterward? Did you realize later that those goosebumps were trying to tell you something? Did you regret not paying attention? This is why it's crucial to stay aware of these sensations, because they are your body's link to the unseen. As we continue, we'll dive deeper into how you can harness the power of your goosebumps, not just as physical sensations but as spiritual tools. But before we move on, I want you to take a moment and think about the last time you felt goosebumps. Was it in response to something physical, or was there something more? Something you might have missed at the time but can now see in a new light. Now that we've explored the signs of paranormal goosebumps, let's dive deeper into how you can actually use these sensations as a guide in your spiritual journey. You see, goosebumps aren't just fleeting reactions, they are deeply tied to your sensitivity to the spiritual world. And if you learn how to tap into this sensitivity, you'll open yourself to new realms of awareness, intuition, and connection with higher energies. Think about it, your body is constantly receiving signals, not just from your physical environment, but from the energetic field around you. This field is filled with vibrations, some of which come from people, others from places, and some from the spiritual realm. When you feel goosebumps, it's often because your body is reacting to a shift in this field. Your skin is literally vibrating in response to these changes. The key here is to learn how to recognize when your goosebumps are trying to communicate something important. The first step is awareness. You need to become more in tune with your body and surroundings. This means paying attention to when and where you get goosebumps. Are they happening in certain locations, around specific people, or during certain activities like meditation or prayer? By noticing these patterns, you can start to map out what triggers your spiritual sensitivity. Once you understand the triggers, you can use them to your advantage. For example, if you notice that you always get goosebumps when you're around a certain person, it could be a sign that this person carries a strong energy that your body is reacting to. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's negative or dangerous, but it's something to be aware of. Goosebumps can also serve as a warning. I once had an experience where I was about to make a major life decision, and out of nowhere, I was hit with a wave of goosebumps. It was as if my body knew something my mind hadn't caught up to yet. I paused, reflected, and realized that my intuition was trying to stop me from making a mistake. Had I ignored those goosebumps, I might have gone down a path that wasn't aligned with my higher self. This is the power of spiritual sensitivity. When you can recognize the signs and trust your body's signals, you make decisions from a place of higher wisdom. I want you to ask yourself something now. How often do you listen to your body? Do you trust it when it sends you a signal like goosebumps, or do you dismiss it as a random reaction? This is a crucial question because the way you answer it can determine how connected you are to your intuition. Let's take this a step further. Have you ever felt goosebumps while listening to a piece of music, watching a movie, or even hearing someone speak? This brings us to an important point. Goosebumps often arise in moments of deep emotional resonance. What's happening here is that the vibrations of the music or the words are aligning with the vibration of your soul. In spiritual terms, this is known as resonance, the idea that certain energies vibrate at the same frequency as your own, creating a kind of spiritual harmony. When you feel this resonance, your body responds with goosebumps because it's recognizing that you are in alignment with something higher. But what happens when the goosebumps are unexpected? You're going about your day, doing something ordinary, and suddenly you feel that familiar shiver. These are often moments when the spiritual world is trying to get your attention. Spirits, guides, or even angels sometimes use goosebumps as a way to communicate with us. It's their way of saying, "We're here, and we're watching over you." It might sound far-fetched, but if you start paying attention, you'll notice that these moments often coincide with times when you're in need of guidance, comfort, or reassurance. There's another fascinating aspect of goosebumps I want to share with you, and it has to do with the concept of spiritual portals. There are places in the world where the energy is so strong that it acts as a gateway between the physical and spiritual realms. When you step into these places, you might feel an overwhelming sense of goosebumps even if the temperature is warm and there's no apparent reason for it. This is because you're walking through an energetic field that's charged with spiritual activity. These places could be ancient temples, natural sites like mountains or rivers, or even homes that have been lived in by many generations. When you feel goosebumps in these places, it's a sign that the veil between worlds is thin, and you are standing in a space where spirits and energies move freely. In fact, many spiritual practitioners believe that goosebumps are one of the surest signs that you're in the presence of something new. It's your body's way of acknowledging that you've entered a space where the spiritual energy is strong, and it's time to become fully present and aware. Now, let's talk about how you can use goosebumps as a tool for developing your spiritual gifts. If you've ever felt goosebumps during meditation, it's likely because your energy field is expanding. As you go deeper into meditation, you raise your vibration and your body begins to react to the higher frequencies. This is why so many people experience goosebumps when they reach a state of deep peace or connection with their higher self. It's a confirmation that you're aligning with your true spiritual nature. You can also use goosebumps as a guide during spiritual practices like prayer, visualization, or energy work. Let's say you're praying for guidance and you feel goosebumps when you ask a specific question. This could be a sign that your prayer is being heard and the answer is on its way. Or maybe you're visualizing a certain outcome in your life and you feel goosebumps when you imagine it. This is your body's way of telling you that you're on the right path, that the vision you're holding is aligned with your soul's purpose. But there's something even more profound about goosebumps that I want you to understand. They're not just a reaction to external stimuli, they're a direct reflection of your inner state. When you're in alignment with your higher self, your body becomes more sensitive to spiritual energy. This is why goosebumps can feel so intense during moments of deep spiritual connection. Your body is responding to the energy of your soul, confirming that you are in tune with something much greater than yourself. As we move forward, I want you to start paying closer attention to when and why you feel goosebumps. The more aware you become of these sensations, the more you'll start to notice patterns in your life. You'll begin to see that goosebumps aren't just random, they're a form of spiritual communication, a way for your soul to speak to you through your body. Now that we've explored the deeper meaning behind your goosebumps and how they're connected to your spiritual sensitivity, let's move into the final and most transformative part of this journey, learning how to fully embrace these sensations as a pathway to spiritual mastery. When you start paying attention to your goosebumps as more than just a physical response, you open up a world of possibilities. Your body, mind, and spirit are intricately connected, and goosebumps are one of the most subtle yet powerful ways that your body communicates with your soul. They're like spiritual radar, alerting you to things beyond the physical things that require your awareness and attention. Let's take a moment to consider this. What if every time you felt goosebumps, you paused and tuned into the moment? Instead of brushing it off or moving on with your day, what if you asked yourself, what is my body trying to tell me? This simple act of awareness can shift your entire perspective. You begin to realize that your body is constantly in dialogue with the energies around you, and goosebumps are a key part of that conversation. Imagine walking into a room and suddenly feeling goosebumps wash over you. Instead of ignoring it, you take a moment to stop and observe your surroundings. You might notice that the energy in the room feels heavy, or that you sense a presence you hadn't noticed before. This is your first step toward becoming more attuned to the spiritual energies that exist around us all the time. The more you practice this kind of awareness, the more you'll develop your ability to sense and interpret these energies. But there's something even more profound happening here. By paying attention to your goosebumps, you're also strengthening your connection to your own intuition. Think about it, your intuition is always guiding you, always offering subtle nudges to help you navigate life's challenges. But sometimes those nudges come in the form of physical sensations rather than thoughts or emotions. Goosebumps are one of the most common ways your intuition communicates with you, especially when it comes to spiritual matters. Let me ask you a question. How often do you trust your intuition? Do you listen when it speaks, or do you second guess yourself? For many of us, trusting our intuition can be difficult because we've been taught to rely on logic and reason above all else. But the truth is, intuition is a form of higher wisdom that goes beyond the mind. It's a direct line to your soul and to the universe itself. And when you learn to trust it, incredible things can happen. This is where goosebumps come in. They're like the physical manifestation of your intuition, a signal that something important is happening, even if you can't quite put your finger on what it is. The more you tune in to this sensation, the more you'll start to trust your intuition. You'll begin to notice that your goosebumps often arise in moments when your intuition is trying to get your attention. It could be when you're making a decision, meeting someone new, or even thinking about a particular situation. Your body knows before your mind does, and it's trying to communicate that wisdom to you. Now, let's talk about how you can actively work with your goosebumps as a tool for spiritual growth. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through meditation. When you meditate, you're creating a space where your mind can quiet down and your intuition can rise to the surface. During meditation, if you experience goosebumps, pay close attention. This is often a sign that you've tapped into a higher frequency, and your body is responding to the elevated energy. You can use this as a guidepost, knowing that when you feel goosebumps in meditation, you're aligning with your soul's true essence. You can also work with goosebumps in your everyday life. Let's say you're faced with a decision and you're unsure of which path to take. Take a moment to close your eyes, breathe deeply, and ask yourself the question you're wrestling with. Then notice how your body responds. Do you feel goosebumps when you think about one of the options? This could be your intuition's way of confirming that you're on the right track. It's important to remember that goosebumps don't just occur in response to danger or negative energies. In fact, many times, goosebumps are a sign of spiritual alignment. They happen when you're in the presence of something sacred, something true. Have you ever been in a place that felt deeply spiritual, whether it was a church, a temple, or even a natural setting like a forest or a mountain? In those moments, you may have felt goosebumps not out of fear, but out of awe and reverence. This is your body's way of telling you that you're in the presence of something much greater than yourself. I once had an experience while standing at the edge of a vast mountain range. The air was still, the sun was setting, and as I looked out over the horizon, I was overwhelmed by a sense of peace and connection to the earth. In that moment, I felt goosebumps all over my body. It was as if my soul was recognizing the sacredness of the moment, and my body responded in kind. This is the kind of spiritual sensitivity that goosebumps can awaken in you. They're a reminder that you are part of something far bigger than your individual self, something that connects all living beings. And now, I want to share a final, profound realization with you. Goosebumps are not just a reaction to the external world. They're also a reflection of your internal state. When you're aligned with your higher self, when you're living in integrity with your soul's purpose, you'll find that goosebumps become more frequent. This is because your energy field is expanding and your body is becoming more attuned to the vibrations of the universe. In a way, goosebumps are like a spiritual barometer, measuring how closely you're aligned with your true self. So, how do you embrace this gift fully? The answer lies in trust. Trust your body, trust your intuition, and trust the sensations that arise when you feel goosebumps. They are a powerful tool for navigating the spiritual realm, and the more you work with them, the more you'll find yourself connected to the deeper truths of life. Before we end, I want you to take a moment and reflect. Can you remember a time when goosebumps guided you? A moment when you felt their presence and knew, deep down, that something important was happening. As you move forward in your spiritual journey, I encourage you to pay close attention to these sensations. They are your body's way of guiding you, of protecting you, and of helping you align with your highest potential. In the end, goosebumps are not just a physical reaction, they are a doorway to spiritual mastery. Embrace them, trust them, and allow them to lead you toward greater awareness, wisdom, and connection with the divine. The next time you feel goosebumps, remember that you are receiving a message, and that message is meant just for you.